Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and good afternoon. I am Banjit Panaudin Zakaria and I will be discussing some of the types of literature review. Now, there are actual different types of literature review if you browse the internet, but here I will only be discussing systematic literature review and scoping review. Let's start with the systematic literature review. According to Grant and Booth 2009, this type of review employs a structured and transparent methodology to collect, evaluate, and synthesize studies with the goal of minimizing bias. It often follows a step by step process, including the use of predefined criteria for selecting and analyzing studies. So, in short, in systematic review, you use structured, rigorous methods to answer a specific or focused research questions by setting predefined criteria or step-by-step process. So to better understand that, let's have a sample. So here we have Motivation in English Language Learning, a systematic review of three major domestic journals over the past 20 years, written by Heromori and others, 2024. So this systematic review actually answers the following research questions. Number one, how do the trends in L2 motivation research within major domestic journals differ from those in international journals? Number two, what educational implications can be drawn from domestic L2 motivation research and how do they differ between theory-oriented research or what they call here motivation and practice-oriented research or motivating. Now, it actually uses a specific research questions. Now, for the methods, it actually sets a three eligibility criteria. First, they only included here studies published from 2002 to 2021 in three domestic journals: Arele, Jacet Journal, and Jalt Journal. So they chose these journals for their extensive history, significant circulation, and broad scope of their aim and objectives. Now, another criteria they use is they limit the search range within the titles, abstracts, and keywords of articles using two search item motivation on motivating to find out motivation related studies. And finally, they ensured that the articles were primarily centered on student motivation for language learning. So those are where the criteria they used. Now, they also used uh, both quantitative and qualitative data coding for synthesizing the literature review. So that's how you do a systematic literature review. It is systematic because it has its structured and step-by-step process, structured methodology. Now, moving on, let us discuss what is scoping review. So, scoping review, this is usually done at the beginning of a study to highlight the gaps in literature and also justify the reason for the study. It includes a comprehensive search strategy, but unlike systematic reviews, it does not synthesize the evidence. It is only used to map the literature in a broader context. Scoping review is also called mapping review. So it is used to map out what studies could be further done in the future for the future researchers. And to better understand it, let's differentiate between the two. So, systematic review versus scoping review. So, as what I have mentioned, systematic review only focuses on a specific, well defined questions. While on the other hand, in scoping review, you address broader or exploratory questions. So, the focus here is on the broader picture of a certain topic. Now, In systematic review, as it use specific, well-defined questions, the scope is narrow. While on the other hand, in scoping review, wide yung scope mo. And in systematic review, it uses deep analysis. So deep yung analysis niya, it synthesizes the literature that it is reviewing, while in scoping review, surface level lang yung analysis. At as what I have mentioned, it is only used to map out future potential research gaps for future research. Now let's have sample of scoping review. So here we have project-based approach in language learning motivation in higher education as scoping review. So this scoping review actually analyzed the main research context of PBL in language learning real. So it analyzed key features of PBL in promoting learners' learning motivation, and analyzed the challenges that students and teachers mainly confronted when conducting PBL in language class. Now, ang pagkakapareha nito sa previous sample is that just like the previous sample, it also set its own criteria. Like for instance, it only includes searches on ERIC, Scopus, SAGI journals, Web of Science, and ProQuest databases. However, unlike in the previous sample, this type of review um, deliberately omits formal quality assessments of the included studies. So hindi siya nag-delve deep into the studies included in its analysis. So that would be all for my topic. Thank you for listening.